Hi, I'm Dennis Steigerwald, President of the Housing Innovation Alliance, and you're joining us on our Pittsburgh road trip. I'm here today in Pittsburgh's East End on the border of Garfield and East Liberty to visit Modul's mixed income housing project. Come on inside. Well, thanks, Ankur, for having us over at your house here in Black Street.
Yeah, for sure. No worries.
So, Module has this approach of building homes using Lego-like structures, right? So your idea is to kind of build a house that can grow with the family in urban environments. But before we get into the Module concept, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself so we can introduce you to our community?
Yeah. So my name is Ankur. I'm the director of construction at Module. I've been with them 3 years now. Just a bit about myself. I went to CMU for construction management. Before that, I was working in India with a large design builder. Again, building single-family homes. So that kind of was the basis of me coming into the housing sector. Before that, my dad's been in the construction industry for 30 years, so I've always been to his sites and stuff. So that's kind of what got me into construction. But housing, really, I transitioned to that once I did start working back home on that single-family project.
Yeah, very cool. So what was it that really drove you into the housing space?
Personally, for me, I like to see multiple projects all done at once, and just the timeline of it, how you could do, you could start the construction process and still finish within a year. In most cases, I think I really like that. All credit to commercial construction, but if it takes 3-4 years to do one project, that just doesn't excite me as much.
So we're here on your mixed income project on Black Street on the Garfield Highland Park neighborhood. Tell us a little bit about this project.
Yeah, so this one, well, we really started looking at this particular lot in 2018, and then initially we were having conversations with the Bloomfield Garfield Corporation, which owned one out of the 3 lots here. So our plan was to build a duplex just on this lot. And then, as we were having those conversations, it came up that even the 2 lots next door were kind of being underutilized. There used to be a park there 20 odd years ago, but wasn't really being, used to its full potential. So we were all right, let's try and build, the entire sort of this corner. We're right next to the environmental charter school, so it was important that something nice gets built here. So we started talking to the URA, and in 2019, we closed on the land late 2019, and then last year we finished building this in August. So there are really 4 units here. So 3 structures, 2 of them are single family, and then the one you're in, we have a 2-bedroom upstairs and then a 1-bedroom apartment downstairs.
Okay, and these homes were built with very unique performance attributes as well. Can you tell us a little bit about the home we're standing in today?
Yeah. So this particular one that we are in right now, we got Zero Energy Ready certification on this one. We worked with DOE closely initially to set up our account and everything, and we are 100% commitment builder. So all of our homes are built to Zero Energy Ready standards. And now again, depending on the client's preferences, we may not go all the way to get certifications, but as far as the baseline is concerned, all these homes are built to that standard. So this home, I think, got a rating of 51 on the HERS rating, and was also Zero Energy Ready certified and in turn Energy Star certified as well.
Okay, so you have a commitment to implement these kind of performance standards on all your future projects. How about kind of the design platform you use here? How will that be replicated or translated in future initiatives?
So our idea is to basically have a set of, right now we have about 15 odd designs, but really like 20-25 designs that we could replicate, at least in the Northeast market. I realize that some of the other markets might need something different. We're trying to work with our partners in those locations to kind of come up with new designs that might work for those areas as well. But for example, this floor plan, we built 2 of the same floor plan here, and then we've already sold another one of these to a client. I think clients, when they walk through the house, and typically our homes tend to be a little bit smaller than what's out there, but I think when people walk through it and get the feel of how big this space is, they're fairly comfortable with it. It's not huge. It's a 1150 square feet 2-bedroom house, but just the kind of baseline that we have from the energy performance standpoint, I think people really like that.
Yes, but a few of the questions that have come from our community have really been around your partnership with SMI and other modular manufacturers you may work with. So talk to us a little bit about the design, permitting, and just overall process of working with SMI.
Yeah, so right now, these homes that are here were built in SMI. We are also working with another manufacturer called Apex Homes. They're also set up in PA, but SMI overall has been really helpful just because they're not a traditional production builder. They are a little bit open to doing, any project we do with them is custom at first because we're still setting up all these new designs. But they see this as a future where we would just send them designs. They already have drawings for it, and we just pick the finishes and they kind of implement that in the factory. From the permit side of things. SMI has done multiple projects in the Pittsburgh area, and I think they've been really helpful in kind of initially guiding us through what the city needs. So yeah, that's one thing that that always comes up when you work with a new manufacturer is that they may not be familiar with a particular jurisdiction and may not have built a home there. So SMI having a little bit of experience in that really helped. But the process we've from our first project to what we have now, our design phase, we've cut the time in like half with SMI. So that's and I think there's probably another a month or so that we could probably shave off of that time. So we started at 6 months, now we're at 3 months, and really when we are at 2 months of that design and permitting phase, because modular really gets the permits at the state level. At 2 months, that's when you're talking about possibly having the entire construction timeline within 7-8 months, which is what we would prefer.
Right on. So there's a huge learning curve that you've overcome with this particular group, others that you're starting to work with. Talk to us a little bit about some of those hard-learned lessons, if you don't mind sharing, or maybe even if you want to focus more on opportunities for innovation in the process.
Yeah, I think every time anybody does modular, at least the first time, it's like going to college. There are going to be some surprises, especially for the person who's executing it on site. So GCs are always surprised. So I think our first step was to look for a GC who has done modular, and then obviously SMI having built in Pittsburgh helped a little bit with the entire process. Again, roadblocks, I would say mostly come from the coordination side of things because, the first time you work with anybody, you're still trying to figure out who on the team does what, and you're really trying to figure out what the efficiencies are. I think those were the biggest things. As we go forward, of course, we're trying to now use that knowledge to work with other manufacturers, and I think we are seeing that other manufacturers are also appreciating that we have sort of that platform built. Having done a modular project before, of course, there's obviously there's still tons of stuff for us to learn, but just having or at least understanding how these manufacturers work and how their system works and gets delivered to site, I think that's really important. So from our perspective, the innovation really, yes, there is a product side of the innovation, but for us, we're really looking at the process side of things. Modular has been around for 70, 80 odd years, and it's been done the exact same way all these years. So they know what they're doing in terms of building the house, but the process still shouldn't take 15 to 18 months to build a house, which is being done 70 to 80% in the factory. So that's really where we're targeting the process is to how do we kind of work around or make that process really short. So like these homes from start to finish, we started, let's see, in December of last year, and then we were done in August of this year. And we were also shut down in the middle 2 months for COVID. So really it was 7 months to build 4 homes here. We're building another home for a client where the timeline is more around 4.5 months. And that's really where we want to be. So under that 6-month timeline, I think. And like you said, it took us 2 years of that learning curve to get there. Hopefully we can replicate it at scale, but that's the plan.
Where did the city of Pittsburgh really excel in helping you to satisfy the need of providing affordable housing within some of these missing teeth lots throughout the city?
Yeah, so really with the city and the Urban Redevelopment Authority, they do have a lot of funding that comes their way that they are very gracious in working with local nonprofit groups or even for-profit developers such as ourselves to try and kind of work with us to really build even a mixed income project. Doesn't have to be all affordable, but I think we were able to work with them on these, out of these 4 units. Well, we own this one, but out of the other 2 that we have, one was market rate and one was affordable. And the city and the URA really helped us Through that process, there are different funding opportunities, whether it's for the actual construction or closing cost assistance and stuff like that. They also do have a construction loan that a lot of people can leverage if they want to. And then obviously on the buyer side, there are other resources that are available. So the people who are looking to buy homes in Pittsburgh that are under 100% AMI, the city has resources for them as well. The other thing from the city, of course, kind of us trying to work with the process. Pittsburgh is one of the only few cities who has like sort of a defined process for modular. I think in early 2020 or late 2019, they released sort of this guideline for modular projects, especially on the residential sides, like what documents they need or what their inspection processes are. So they do have a standard set of documents, which even a lot of other bigger cities do not. So I think that was really helpful. So right now for us, the city permitting process, I know a lot of people claim that to be a hassle. And obviously it took us some learning curve to kind of get there. But now that they have everything online, it takes us about a month to get a building permit, and that's been really helpful for us in kind of looking forward as to how much or how long would any particular project take.
So it sounds like Pittsburgh went through the prep work to kind of remove some of these barriers by creating a process for this type of construction, which is fantastic. They put the right financial mechanisms in place to help both the developer and the buyer, which is fantastic for the future homeowner. What I'm kind of curious about would be, Pittsburgh's not alone, right, in the United States, as far as having kind of a surplus of infill lots that could be redeveloped and add to the affordable housing inventory. Is there any call to action or recommendation you might have to some of these jurisdictions that are interested to lead change and drive innovation locally?
Yeah, and definitely we have also had some smaller jurisdictions reach out to us and try to ask, okay, what do we need to do to kind of get your product here, right? How do we build what you just did in Pittsburgh in sort of and we have gotten a lot from the West Coast as well, but I think from our perspective, we have always tried to, make them sort of understand what Pittsburgh or any other locations who have sort of a set system, and kind of try and replicate that. Now, we recently started a partners program with a bunch of architects. I think we have about 17 on our list right now. They're all over the country, and they're trying to figure out how do they get our product, in sort of their townships or in their localities. So that's kind of a process that we have started in the Pennsylvania area. I think we're very familiar with the process, so we are able to help any designer or a developer out and how to kind of go around the process.
So I want to just pivot back to something else we started talking about earlier in the conversation. It's kind of looking at the buildability of the product and kind of what your future projects will look like. Talk to us a little bit. I know we have some of the same partners in our community as you used on this project, and you've been doing maybe some R&D work or anything like that. Can you talk to us about opportunities you're exploring for innovation with them? And how that'll impact some of your future projects?
So there were, on this project especially, we had quite a bit of partners that are trying to do a ton of innovation, especially in the off-site sector. Mm-hmm. So we had DuPont, Mitsubishi, Unico, IKEA, who are all trying to figure out how do we get, or how do they get their product into our house or into these modular homes that are still in the factory, right? So when we start working with, say, for example, DuPont, they were really concentrating on, okay, we have all these building products, everybody buys a Tyvek wrap or extra insulation, but they're really installing it on site. So how do we go out of our way and do or preemptively install it in the factory? That's much easier because on site you need scaffolding, all of that. There would be issues with the weather and stuff like that. But if you do it in the factory, then you're kind of eliminating all of that. So we were able to help them sort of be a part of this project and again work with SMI to kind of incorporate that into the production schedule, because some of these things and if you're familiar with how modular factories would work, obviously they have a production line, right? They have an assembly line that they need to keep running. So really trying to incorporate some of these products while they're still on the line is really important, and I think that's what we did really well on this. So going forward, a lot of those products are going to be a standard on our homes. Similar situation with both Unico and Mitsubishi, who are our HVAC providers. They were able to work with us and try and install as much of their system as possible in the factory, whether it's ductwork or even their actual units. And just trying to do that really helps us. I think it just helps us expand our boundaries, because if I'm able to do right now we're doing anywhere between 70 to 80% complete home in the factory. But if that goes above 90%, then I'm not limited by any restrictions really, or any state boundaries. I could deliver to anywhere. If the house is finished, there's less work on site to be done by any GC, then it becomes really easy for anybody else to really adopt our product. So to speak. So these partners have really kind of pushed that limit a little bit. But the ultimate aim would be to really get to a house that's almost done in the factory. I know some companies are doing that for tiny houses, but how do we do that for homes that are wider or bigger? We're doing homes now that are 2,000 square feet plus. So how do we really do it at that sort of square footage?
So speaking of kind of the larger homes, one of the things that you're known for is your kind of a concept where you can expand the house. And I know that was an experiment that you ran on this particular home that we're in, right? So tell us a little bit about this roof system that you tested out on this project.
Yeah, so our idea really was how do we build a house that could sort of change with the buyer's needs. Now it doesn't all have to be external where you add a separate floor or a separate room. Even internally, we did try on one of our homes. We do have a room in the back that kind of has these doors that completely open, and it looks like it's part of the living space, but then you can also close it and make it a bedroom. So we were just experimenting with that, and kind of the ultimate aim of that was, okay, it's really hard to find good piece of land. So now that I have good piece of land, say for example anywhere in the city of Pittsburgh, but I only have the funds to probably build a 1-story or a 2-story with the 2 bedrooms right now. But eventually I'm going to outgrow that house. Maybe I need an office space, or as a client, your parents might move and your kids might be living with you. So we really wanted to kind of really touch on that space, and then so we tried to see, okay, we should try and see how do we go up on a structure. Because of zoning restrictions, you're not really going to be building on the sides of a house or front or back. You kind of want to retain that. Going up is the easiest thing, and because city of Pittsburgh allows up to 3 stories, if you only build 2 stories, then there is that one more story that you could leverage. So on this house, we tested sort of the phase 1 of that project, where we concentrated really hard on the structure. So our next phase would be MEPs really, but on this one we wanted to see, okay, how would this work structurally and logistically, because now that roof box would be a separate thing that probably we'll have to take out at a later stage. Because typically if you see modular homes with a pitch roof, the roof is part of the top floor, and it's just folded up, and on site it's lifted to form a pitch. But on this one, our roof is actually a separate box. It was shipped separately, it was lifted separately with the crane, and we do have, obviously if you go to our website you can kind of see pictures of it on there. But and I think working with SMI, they were really helpful, kind of devoting their team's time to kind of figure that out, because they were the ones who were actually going to build this, and there was a ton of scrutiny around, okay, how are the connections made, and how are these being lifted on site, and how long do we hope this is going to stay on top of the house, because it doesn't work if you build a house right now and you want to take the roof off next year. You could still do it, but from the cost or from the economic standpoint, it doesn't make sense. So how do we make sure 5 years down the line we can still take that roof off and it's not just like stuck there permanently? So the connections and all of that were very important on this project. But we were really able to demonstrate how to do that without really disrupting the actual construction process for modular. Going forward, again, that would be an option for buyers. It's not something that we are really concentrating on at this moment, because most of the buyers are looking for homes that they can move into right now. And yes, some of them do like the option of having a removable roof. So in that case, yes, we sit down with them and we say, okay, what do you envision, or how do you envision your house growing in the future, and then kind of try and design around that.
Well, I think the important part is you had the intent to go forward with that R&D initiative, which is a big part of what the industry needs to see more of, right? Is kind of that testing and prototyping, these kind of things. So we talked about the expanded home concept. Module itself, the name is more about the modularity in design, right? The Lego-like pieces that we've talked about that you can assemble to have a bigger home if you'd like to. but it doesn't mean that you're locked into volumetric modular solutions, correct?
Yeah, no, that's correct. Right, the first house we ever built was not a volumetric box. For us, if somebody wants our product, right, we don't want it to be restricted by, say, the topography or other restrictions that might be in and around the site. So that's why we don't, really commit ourselves to one. Yes, of course, going forward, most of our products are looking at modular or the full volumetric boxes, so to speak, but our designs can adapt to either approach. It doesn't really matter to us from the constructability perspective. Of course, the details might be different, but our designs will work with either of those approaches.
I just want to wrap it up with one quick question for
sure.
you. So we started out wondering how you got into the industry. Like yourself, there's a lot of startups looking to disrupt the space. What advice would you have for someone who's looking to enter into the housing space?
Yeah, and that's a really good question, and we get asked that a lot. And our approach really has been, of course, there's the more disruptive and radical side of innovation and more incremental. For us, the process innovation has been mostly incremental, where we every project we do, we try and do one part of the process better than we did last time. So that's kind of how we've been trying and pushing that envelope forward. But we did try the removable roof, which for all intents and purposes was like sort of a radical innovation that a lot of people are not doing. Actually, nobody's doing it right now. And the idea behind that was the industry, construction industry doesn't change that quick, and that's just how the industry works. So acceptance is really important, right? If we try and come up with something that's very different from what's being done out there, you would have less partners to work with, you would have less GCs that understand it, you would have less permit departments that understand it. So really trying to do one small step at a time, I think that's really helped us over the past 2-3 years. And I think now we're finally getting to where we can confidently move forward with any project. Whereas 2 years ago we would be like, we should first have a conversation how it goes with the city, or how does this work with the crane driver or anybody like that. But slowly more people are adopting modular. Contractors are seeing that it's not taking away anything from them. This really gives them an opportunity to build more houses, get more of their product out there, so that they're starting to like us. Designers, again, they get a lot of flexibility with us, and that's why we started the design program as well. So really getting all these people to work with you, I think would be my suggestion, instead of we haven't really gone out there and said, okay, we're going to change the entire industry. Maybe someday we will, but it's just slowly chipping away at tiny things. And then once you get all those people to support you, then it's not just you alone, right? You have 5 other partners that you can really go, whether to the city or to a developer with. Okay, we do have a really solid product, and this is how you make money, or this is how you progress your business using what we have.
Yeah, so it sounds like persistence, patience, and
Yeah.
go into it with an open mind that you're going to have to work. Don't go at it alone.
Yeah, for sure. Get the right people on your side. I think that's what I would say. And by right, I mean anybody and everybody who is a part of your industry. Yes, every buyer would be different, every client would be different. They would have their own opinions on how modular is, or how skinny your house is, or how tall your house is, or how wide it is. People always walk into this house and they're like, okay, we weren't expecting this. This is much sturdier than what we thought it would be. But and that's basically a ton of misinformation that's out there, right? In the off-site side of the industry, where a lot of homes out there that are built off-site are mostly manufactured homes or trailer homes. So that's what people are used to, and they're not really used to this kind of a product. So yeah, actually having built these here, that really helps change that perspective. So again, it's a slow process, because our industry, like in tech, you could write a software pretty quick.
Yeah, so everyone has to interact with it.
Yeah,
Got it,
for sure.
Well, Ankur, thanks for everything you do for the industry through your role as the head of construction at Module. Really appreciate your time today, man.
Yeah, no worries. Hoping to keep continuing our relationship as well, and hopefully we'll build many more of these in the city, and maybe expand outside of Pittsburgh soon as well.
All right, sounds great. Well, thanks again for your time.
Great.
Appreciate it.
No problem.